Welcome. Today we want to talk about the 4 ways that being a career relauncher, having taken a career break,
Yep.
actually improves your hireability.
Yes.
Right? So in addition to pitching yourself on a networking call or an interview, which is the obvious, your other job is to educate your audience on the value of hiring someone after a career break.
Yes.
They're not just doing a nice thing.
Right.
It's not this civic duty. It is a real value to them, a real benefit to them, and a real feather in their cap when they do hire people like
Yes.
you.
And I love the word that you used is educate, because for every person you educate, you're doing that for every woman that's behind you that gets back out into the workforce herself.
That's right.
So I love that term.
So a couple things you want to educate your audience on right out of the gate.
Right. So taking a career break is a sacrifice, and we don't give ourselves the opportunity to say that. But for many of us, a career break was really something that was a sacrifice on our part.
It's a huge decision. It is a privilege,
Yes.
financially, to be able to do it. But often it's a privilege because we've been very successful.
Right.
And we've laid the groundwork financially so that we can. But when a woman decides to leave her career to care for her children, she's giving up, obviously, the money, the benefits, but the prestige.
Yes.
The community of workplace. I know that was one of the things I missed the most.
Yes.
And the career traction.
And I also, the identity I want to add to
Yeah,
that.
for
Because
sure.
I think there's a real identity that you attach to what work it is that you're doing in the world.
And they're doing this when they're losing all of those things. They're benefiting society, though, because they're staying home to raise the next generation of humans that are going to be your doctor, your firefighter, your lawyer, your therapist, whatever it is. And so understanding that and conveying that to your audience is just a nice way to educate them and almost put them a little bit on edge in recognizing that, wow, this is not something I'd ever considered, that this person really has provided value to me and to my community during her break.
Absolutely. And this next one is your Susanism,
it's
one of her favorites. And it's work is work, whether it is paid or unpaid.
So during their career breaks, women maintain their skill sets, but I think what's often forgotten or overlooked is that they develop new skill sets too.
Right.
So both of us took career breaks. We raised our children. We took on community leadership roles, caregiving, advocacy. And during that time, it wasn't like our brains went to sleep. We were developing new skills and keeping those skills we had already, keeping them maintained and improving them and perfecting them further.
Yes. The challenge here is not just in the education. It's that you yourself have to believe that that work is valuable, and it is valuable. We're telling you it's valuable. You have to believe it first, because when you are educating somebody about how valuable it really is, you have to be
you will not sound convincing if you're not believing it yourself.
Exactly. All right. So here are 4 skills that make relaunchers exceptional candidates. The first one is resilience.
There was a study recently done, and I just know this because it's in my book. A big consulting firm called Alex Partners did a study on career women returning after work after break, and they found out that their resilience actually makes women better risk takers, which is interesting because we often think of men being the better risk takers, but women, because they're resilient, because they're used to things just popping up, nothing goes smoothly, and sometimes the resilience is born out of, we both have had children who had like serious health disorders, or we're dealing with parents who have health problems, or those kinds of things tend to be shouldered by women. And as a result, they tend to take things in stride. And so the study showed, and it was like 2,500 employers were part of this study, that women, when they see chaos, they embrace it, they see it as opportunity, and they move forward and they embrace the challenge. But men see it and they retreat. They see threat.
Oh, interesting.
So kind of almost like the opposite of what we picture.
Right.
But that resilience is something that they carry, and in leadership roles, it's essential.
Yes. Yeah, it's knowing how to hit the mat and pick yourself back up.
Exactly. And not being afraid of taking that risk that might put you on the mat.
Yes.
It's kind of what the essence of the study was all about.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So the next one is adaptability, which is kind of
it's similar.
This is his friend. It's close
absolutely
resilience and adaptability.
Right. So that feeling of things not going in the right way. It's kind of like the hunters and the gatherers.
Right.
So if you think of how we descend from back in the Paleolithic age or whatever age it was, the male Neanderthals were up in a tree or behind a rock for the entire day like this, waiting for the bison to go by.
Myopically focused.
Right. So they could kill the bison to provide food for their family for the week. Right. Meanwhile, the gatherers were watching the children, feeding the children, tending the fire, picking the vegetables, growing the vegetables, harvesting, cooking, blah, blah, blah. So they saw like this, and they learned just really how to adapt. This is happening here. This is happening there. And being able to see it all. Right. So it's also a little bit about view, but it's being able to move in the direction that needs to be moved, where resilience is more being able to pick yourself up and not retreat.
Yeah. It's so interesting when you put it in that context. It really is a part of our fabric.
Oh, for sure.
It's a part of our fabric.
Yeah.
All right. And the next one is patience and that long view, that this is a long term.
I mean, you cannot be a mother without taking the long view.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
Every one of us has been in, I'm thinking,
and if you don't, your children are teaching you.
Yeah.
That's
like has had the moment in the grocery store. In my case, it was a Crate and Barrel with the child, lying on the floor, banging their fists.
I did that multiple places.
So it's that ability to take the long view and know that, okay, this is going to pass. I'm going to ride this out. It's patience. Teaching a child how to tie their shoes. Trying to teach your child who can't sit still their letters so they can go to kindergarten. Yes. I mean, those kinds of things that, again, fall on women's shoulders that aren't necessarily genetic. I was in tech, so it was very fast paced. It was all adults. And now suddenly I'm trying to teach a 3-year-old how to tie their shoes.
Right.
So we learn patience.
Right.
We practice it on a daily basis. And part of that patience is knowing this too shall pass.
Yes.
Very valuable, especially now because the economy, industry is changing so quickly that if you aren't patient in being able to learn something new, if you are not adaptable, you're in trouble.
Right. And I think we have also learned to communicate in that way.
Yes.
I think that's what, that's a key, is that you are great communicators of patience. You are great communicators of adaptability. So because it's your common language that you now use, that is something that you're doing and you're bringing to the workplace. All right, the very last one, it's kind of ties these all up, together, is just resourcefulness. Just our ability to be resourceful.
When I left the workplace, I had a dedicated assistant.
Yeah. I
had a staff. There were so many resources. There were so many things I could just offload to other people so I could do my, quote unquote big job. Yeah. And then I became a mom and I had nobody.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So we learn how to do things with few resources.
Oh, yeah.
We get, we know how to make dinner when there hasn't been time to grocery shop, which sounds like, how could that possibly parlay into professional work? But it does, because it's being able to look at scarcity and create from that.
Oh, yeah. Or just in the moment, on the fly, figure out, like, I've got to MacGyver this situation so that we can get from point A to point B.
Right.
And that ability to do that with a nimbleness and a efficiency.
And a confidence too, because especially with little people, like, we might be sweating.
Yeah.
And we might be like, holy crap, I have no idea what I'm doing this moment. Right. But we maintain our composure so that the temperature of the family stays cool. The same thing, that same skill set we bring to the workplace. Stocks are dropping precipitously. We got this.
Yeah.
We're okay. Yeah. And there are probably more, but these are the 4 that we hear the most.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that soft skill, hard skill, because these are all soft skills.
They are soft skills, which sometimes get a bad rap.
They get eclipsed, right? Yeah.
But right now, in this moment of time, because AI is drastically changing the whole landscape, we don't know what jobs are going to look like in 5 years. We don't know which jobs will be replaced by AI, but let me tell you something. Those skills cannot be replaced by AI. No. And interestingly, another recent study that's been done, these skills are now eclipsing even technical skills. Because I can teach anybody technical skills. And by the way, I can teach a robot technical skills if I need to.
Yeah.
I can't teach a robot to read Kelly's emotional state as we're going into a big presentation and to see, oh my God, she's having a tough time. I'm going to have to jumpstart her and maybe take over the presentation. Right. Interestingly, right now, companies like Google, Amazon, the 2 of the biggest and probably, arguably most prestigious employers, are now looking at those soft skills in equal value to the technical skills. But the predictions are that by not too far out, like 2027, that the soft skills will eclipse the hard skills for value in a new hire. And guess what? This is what we have.
Yes. And we bring it all to the table. So just remember that. If you liked what you heard today, you can learn more about our company, Prepare to Launch You, at www.preparetolaunchu.com. Thanks so much.